I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everyone, welcome. I must have caught Alice walked outside for a second, so Bob, you should do roll call because you wanted the meeting to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Capadona? Here.
Here she comes down. Just
Lorelli?
kidding.
Here. We got Darren Deskin? Here. Vandermeer?
Here.
Marinowski? Peretta? Here.
Good job.
Thank you. 6 present.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, so we're going to jump in here to the committee of the whole meeting. Just real quickly on the mayor's report. You know, we had there was a meeting a couple days ago at county discussing what's been known as the Bruce Road Caton Farm Bridge. You know, it's been talked about for years. There's been preliminary phase 1 studies done about exactly what the route's going to be. I had been, you know, poking around at it for a couple years now, trying to figure out what the status is. I mean, we all know the 9th Street Bridge is just can be pretty unbearable. So we had this meeting again at county. There's some concern about how it ties back in to the state route. Basically, what its proposal is to go from U.S. Route 30 on the west side and then tie into 159th Street, which is another state route on, you know, the east side. And so while it's pretty straight shot down Caton Farm, once it gets over the Des Plaines River, it's got a little bit of that's where it gets tricky, especially on the other side of I-355. There was also concern on my end that it wasn't going to tie into the highway. I think it should. But it's still phase 1, so it's very preliminary. But I had asked that the county do a presentation here at our council to bring everybody up to speed on the status and why they've chose one route over another. You know, it's a lot of folks are in, even if it is a project that's 10 years out, there's still a lot of landowners that need to know where this road is going through because it affects what they're going to do in development. So I've asked the county to come out and do a presentation. So they're working with Ben to schedule some time, probably next month or maybe in June. We'll figure out a time.
The first meeting in June, we'll get back to you.
Okay. But they'll give a nice thorough presentation on the status. So we'll continue to push it on our end because I think it's a very important project. So that's one thing. Another thing, too, I want to bring up with the council, and I think there's a couple folks who are part of the new council sitting out here. One of the things I want to do when the new council folk take office is I really want to reinstate the committees. This meeting itself is called Committee of the Whole. It's really meant to be where all the subcommittees come together and report and what's going on. So what I'd like the council members to do who are here is to start thinking about some of the committees. There's, you know, 5 that I would like to see. I would like to see an economic development committee. I'd like to see an ethics committee, a public safety committee, an infrastructure committee, a branding and outreach, and then a finance committee. Kind of the way I see these being laid out and structured is I'd like to have one alderman chair each of these committees, and then I'd like to have another alderman who's a sub-chair. So if, for instance, you know, Brian chairs the ethics committee, I'd like to have Chris Capadona sub-chair it. So you'd be in charge of it, and Chris would be a second. It just for instance. Also, the way I'm thinking of doing this, and I'd like your feedback, I'd like you guys to noodle this around over the next couple of weeks, is I was thinking also that maybe you can then open it up to your discretion, is if, you know, to have 3 or 4 citizens who might want to be on an ethics committee could, you know, volunteer their time and meet with you guys. And so kind of open it up to a little bit more of the community as well. And then that way you could meet with, say, Tom Thanis, who would be the staff person assigned to that committee. So we'll do the same thing. Structure, you know, Amy Wagner would be a staff person who's assigned to that, and if it's, you know JR and you know, say it's you know, Bob Peretta or whatever, nobody's assigned anything. I'd like to hear your feedback on places you would like to serve, but I'd really like you guys to be on top of some of the things, like when it comes to the infrastructure. It's going to be important that we stay on the CIP, making sure we know where projects are. And with just 2 council members on it, you know, you guys can meet at your discretion, so it's a lot easier to meet that way as well. So I want you guys to think about this. I really want to have a lot more buy-in from council, and I think, you know, kind of spread the love and get more input and, you know, more folks' mind on these projects, I think will be better for us all. So keep that in mind. If you have any other committee ideas, you know, get to me this next couple weeks, and we'll kind of, you know, settle on which ones they are come next meeting or two and get people assigned to them. Any questions about that stuff? No good? Okay. Why don't we jump into, is Amy here today?
She probably is. I think I'll handle the first one for you,
Okay,
Mayor.
please.
Item CA1, well number 9, iron filtration. We were planning to present bid opening results from our bid in regards to building a iron filtration facility on well number 9. In the last few weeks, in the last month, we've had a few issues with that well. I shared a late email yesterday with some pictures in regards to part of that well collapsing. And we have Strand here to probably give us a brief update, but I'll be looking for a motion to table this item at this time. We want to make sure that the well that we want to install this very piece of equipment on is going to be able to produce the water that we need to do that. So we'd like to table it and bring it back at a future date once we learn a little bit more about the cost involved in kind of rehabilitating the well. I think we're confident we can get enough water out of it, but we just want to make sure before we vote on something as expensive as an iron filtration facility that we'll be able to get the water we need out of there. So I don't know if Chris is here. I don't know if you have any specific questions about it, but this is a scenario where part of the grouting underground had fallen apart. We're going to have to add some extending some sheeting. I'm learning a lot about wells underground. But again, right now we think it's best to table this item.
Sure. Well, look, everyone up here has suspected that we've had, major problems with our water. This isn't necessarily surprising. As we hope to take care of it with iron filtration, we find there's more problems. Can you elaborate on it a little bit so we know what we're facing, kind of maybe how long it might take to repair it, if that's the way to go with this?
All wells are susceptible to collapses and cave-ins, and these things happen as time goes on and maintenance procedures take place, and that's kind of what's happened here. A little bit of the formation collapsing has caused a pump issue. When we pulled the pump out to take a look at that, the well contractor televised and found some other issues, and as addressing those issues, some more collapsing took place. Doesn't happen on all these types of rehabs. Time to time that when you start rehabbing a well and pushing water out and trying to clean it up, sometimes some things will fall in. The concern with the iron removal facility that's going on the back of that at this point in time is that if there's any changes made to that design, we should probably do that before we get too far into it. As a result of this rehab, if production quantities are higher or lower, or the water quality is slightly different, we'd want to address that ahead of time. As far as timelines on the rehab, it was probably planned to be done any day now until you find more things. The well contractor is returning some quotes for us to take a look at and consider, and some options to take a look at and consider. Probably within the next 3 or 4 business days here, we should see that. And then it'll probably take 3 or 4 weeks to go through the process of that rehabilitation work. So I would say best guesstimate would be at least a month before we know how that well rehabilitation and maintenance process has turned out.
Do we have any idea on cost yet about what it might run us?
It depends on the steps that are taken at this point in time. We do have from some of the earlier proposals and scopes of work, we've got some ideas of some of the steps, and those were in the $31,000 range for some of the same types of steps. But we want to take a look at that, and we might want to go a little bit more than that and do some additional steps to make sure that this well gets a full a full life. It's 13 years old now, which the time that you would have probably had a couple of maintenance cycles on a well, it's done good up to this point, but now we've got to kind of make up for some lost ground, do some maintenance, and get it ready for the next 25, 30 years, so.
Any questions?
Any preventive maintenance that we could have done in hindsight to prevent this scenario?
Yes, we always want to keep an eye on the data and how the well is doing and kind of give it routine checkups. So there probably were some steps that we could have done a little bit sooner to take a look at the well. But what that might do as we do that is we might find out that these wells maybe need more than just one a year. We might have to go to rehab or investigation processes, on maybe 2 wells a year, maybe 3 wells a year, which is going to drive up your costs a little bit. But I think that's what a lot of people are finding with the aquifer that you're on. A lot of the surrounding communities are on that aquifer. And as wells age on that aquifer, the water quality is such that you've got to come back sooner. It's kind of like us. When we're young, we can go with long runs before we go to the dentist or the doctor, but then as we get older, those routine visits maybe become a little bit more important. And this aquifer is definitely one that we need to start sending these wells to the doctor a little more frequently as they age.
Yeah.
When you say you need to look at the data, are you talking about like the output, or is there something else that you need to monitor?
As far as when to get to these wells, when to start doing some preventative maintenance procedures?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the main thing we want to keep an eye on are looking at the drawdown or how much water is pumping, how much water is, how much the water is drawing down. That's a good indicator of well performance. We want to look at pump performance. There's things that we can look at as far as the flow rate, given the drawdown conditions, that'll really give us a lot of information on how well the pump is performing. And if we can take some simple measurements every so often, probably monthly, just taking some simple measurements and trending that, we would probably be able to better judge when to, and they have been doing that, and we're collecting that information and taking a look at some of the other wells too, just to take those steps, so.
All right, nothing else? Do we need an action? Do we just table?
Motion to table.
All right, so it's a motion to table
You
then.
have to give a date, or
The next committee of the whole meeting?
Um,
Or do you need more?
You think we'd be more time? I mean, the next committee of the whole would be 3 weeks to have an answer as to where we're going.
As far as the well 9, probably wouldn't be that one. It might be the next one that we would want to push it to.
So May 20th meeting?
Second meeting in May.
So a table to May 20th, committee of the whole.
Okay. Motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
second?
Okay. Alderman Capadona, second by Alderman Perretta. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor. And, I'm sorry, yeah, we're going to finance update next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. About a month now, we've been live with the online bill pay for water bills. So the residents can go online and pay their water bills, or they can go and call the 800 number through the IVR system, the automated system, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I just wanted to give you guys an update. So far, without a whole lot of PR, we've had 73 payments go through. About $11,000 collected through that system, and it seems like we're getting some favorable responses, and people are finding out about it. So I just wanted to bring you guys up to date. It's a good thing, and we see this to grow pretty rapidly here over the next couple months.
All right, great. Thanks, Lisa. All right, Chief, what do you got? Nothing? Is that not you? Police Chief, surplus property?
We have 15035. Ron Huff had a memo.
It was some lift station equipment, not lift station, lifts.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes,
Garage.
I remember this now, yes. We had an actual, behind the police station, we had some equipment in the garage that wasn't being utilized, and so we're looking for some authorization to declare that item surplus so that we can dispose of it or auction it off. This is, the assets that they also, I'm sorry, I also see something on here about assets, so let me begin again. We have assets acquired through purchases, seizures, and forfeitures. I think you'll be getting something on that lift in the future. We were just talking about that the other day. You know, at some point, we need to declare these things surplus and have a proper disposal for them. And there's a list of the items attached in your agenda packet. The lifts are on there. Gosh,
Yes.
Okay, hydraulic lifts, an air lift, air pumps, and ceiling-mounted planes. But these are all items that we talked with our Public Works Department in regards to if they needed this equipment, they did not, and so we found no reason not to surplus the item.
Okay. I guess I'm confused. Why is this under the police? Is this public work stuff?
This was at the police department. Police department had a garage behind there that they, I guess back in the day, they used to service some of their own vehicles there.
Okay, I
They haven't been
gotcha.
doing that in years, and so we
Okay.
found, this-
We have
Yeah.
two giant, one a truck lift, one a car lift, but they're worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
We haven't used them since we decommissioned the garage.
Okay, I got you. All right. I follow. All right, so you need put this on a consent agenda to,
yeah, there'll be a resolution authorizing the disposal of these surplus items.
okay. All right.
And then the next item, Mayor, is actually AT1. I know Tom's going to talk about this a little bit. I'm going to actually show you some aerial photos. There'll be a resolution 15032 authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois State Tollway Authority, the City of Lockport, and the Lockport Township Park District. If you recall, this was in regards to parcels of property outside of the Highlands apartment complex that they were looking to combine for a regional park. Tom's going to talk a little bit more about that, and I'll pull up a couple aerials for you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the agreement that we entered into with the developer of the Highlands project required the city to try to acquire two parcels of property that were acquired by the Illinois Toll Authority during the construction, or during the pre-construction phase of the I-355 expressway. We approached the Toll Authority, and the Toll Authority is willing to donate the two parcels of property that are on 143rd Street to the city, with the understanding that it will be used as open space as part of a future park site to be developed by the Lockport Township Park District. Sandwiched in between these two parcels is a piece of privately owned property that the Highlands will have control of once they purchase the property, and then at that point they'll develop the park site there. The advantage for the city on this is that it will save the city some money, because part of the impact fee that was part of the agreement that we negotiated and was approved by the City Council in January set aside a little over $2.25 million for all impact fees, including parkside fees. This will reduce the cash outlay that the city will have, so we'll have some additional funding that will be available for other improvements that will go into this area. The Toll Authority Board has already approved the agreement. It's actually a three-party agreement. The Park District has indicated that they will be taking action on this agreement at its April 27th meeting. We have it on the Committee of the Whole agenda, and we're asking for your authorization to put it on the meeting for May 6th.
Questions? Everybody good with a consent on this? Yeah. Put it on the consent agenda, Alice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and I think the next one also Tom's going to talk about, AT2, a resolution authorizing the execution of amended and restated recapture agreement between the City of Lockport, MLRP, Lockport Land LLC, for properties near Gauger Road and the infrastructure improvements. And then we're going to do the same. I'm going to find some more aerials for you.
And I have Mr. Day is going to want to speak on this. Do you want to speak before, sir, or do you want to speak after? Okay, all right. Well, why don't you guys speak to it, and then if we have any questions, we can talk.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, in 2013, the City Council approved a recapture agreement for ML Realty Partners. And a recapture agreement is a contract between the city and a developer that would require the city to collect certain fees from from other parcels of property that are close by that will have the benefit of connecting to either the water, sewer, or road systems that have been constructed by the developer. In this particular case, in 2013, there were 2 parcels that were identified that benefited from the project that ML Realty Partners is pursuing. Since most of the improvements are in, it's been determined that there are other parcels, 5 other parcels that could connect to the water and sewer system or that could have direct access to Gauger Road. And what we've done with the agreement before you tonight is to replace the 2013 agreement with this agreement that will define the benefited properties as a total of 7 parcels, 2 from 2013, 5 new ones. We did send a letter to the 7 property owners last week. I believe some are in attendance this evening. I did have a chance to speak with one of the property owners or representative of the property owner a couple of days ago, explaining to them that they owe absolutely nothing right now. There's no bill that's being sent to them. This is just for future development opportunities. It's a cost they would have incurred in developing their property, having to bring water and sewer to their site, or having to improve Gauger Road to get access to it, and ML has paid for that up front. If sometime in the future they decide to develop their property either on their own or with a developer acquiring multiple parcels in that area, then a fee, a proportionate fee would be due. The city would collect that, and then we would remit that fee to ML to reimburse them for certain costs that they've incurred in extending services. So the only thing before you tonight, what's before you tonight at the committee of the whole level is to look at this and give us authorization to proceed with it. I know normally we have it go to the next meeting, which would be May 6th, but since you've seen this before, we have put it on the agenda for the next meeting, tonight's City Council meeting. If you're inclined to vote on it tonight, ML's asking you to proceed with it tonight. If you think you need to wait until the next meeting, that's fine too. But we're recommending approval of the updated recapture agreement.
Any questions from council?
So you said that 2 of the parcels were on the previous agreement. Which 2 were on? And other than, I think, on the north end, this is all actually ML's property, right?
There's actually parcels, if you go, I think it's Exhibit D, there's probably a better exhibit to show, and it actually has the numbers that are on there. And if you have that in front of you, you'll see certain parcels numbered, parcels 1, 3, 6, and 7
Right.
at the top of the exhibit. That's at 143rd Street. The original recapture agreement from 2 years ago included parcels 1 and 3.
What I thought.
What's being added are 6, 7, 5, 2, and 4. Those are parcels that will be able to connect to the water and sewer system if they choose to. They do not have to do anything. If they choose to stay as they are in unincorporated Will County and not develop in the city of Lockport and connect, then at that point they'll owe absolutely nothing. So what we tried to explain in the letter that we sent to the 7 parcels, property owners, is that there's no current obligation, and this is an agreement that lasts for 20 years. If they sit and do nothing with their property, continue on well and septic, continue with their current access roads to 143rd, 20 years passes, they'll owe nothing. Chances are, will this develop in the next 20 years? Possibly, but again, that's a decision that they'll get to make with developers and people who may approach them about possible development.
So are 5, 2, and 4 owned by ML, or is it someone else?
ML owns none of them. They're all privately owned, and we sent notices to 7 separate property owners. None of them are, I don't believe any of them are owned corporately. I think they're all owned by individuals. Some of the individuals are here tonight, and I'd be happy to speak with them in between meetings if they wanted to speak with me separately or privately about the impact that it has on their property.
Okay. Anything else by anyone up here?
Any new timeline on the Gauger Road opening up?
Gauger Road, yeah, and I can jump in on this
Sure.
one. One of the key things on this is that there needs to be a traffic signal installed at Gauger and 143rd Street. The 2 parcels, parcels 1 and 3, are part of a acquisition of right-of-way, so a turn lane can be expanded and the traffic signal can be installed. That's part of a conversation going on between the county and the property owners right now as part of a conversation before a condemnation case would be filed. We are very hopeful, we as a city are very hopeful that that gets negotiated and that the property owners are compensated for the small piece of property that's needed to accommodate the traffic signal in the turn lane. Once that's acquired, then the traffic signal will go in. There's a second issue regarding 3 parcels of property to the north of the intersection on 143rd Street, and that's what we've been meeting with the county on, hoping to get some flexibility there so we can open up Gauger and move forward without having to do anything on the north side of the road. That's still an open issue, though, with the county.
Okay. Thank you for the update.
So the goal is to get this on city council meeting right after this? So I guess, if you'll speak with the residents, and if there's no objections from the residents or questions that aren't answered, then I guess we could move forward with that. That would be fine by me.
What I can do, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I've got one more item on the agenda of the Committee of the Whole. I can address that next, and then I'll go in the hallway, and if any of the owners want to speak with me about it, we can go over the materials and then come back and let you know. If it looks like it's a matter that's ready to go tonight, I know ML would appreciate having you vote on it because we are trying to move the opening of Gauger up as quickly as we possibly can, because I know we're all hearing, I think you're hearing from your constituents, they'd like it opened.
Sure. Okay. What's your other piece that you want to talk about then?
Next item, number 3, is an ordinance amending Chapter 111.11 of the Municipal Code as it pertains to the number of liquor licenses that are available. This is for the Volz building, the Mead development, and if you've driven by there, you've seen a flurry of activity with the reconstruction, redevelopment of that building. The redevelopment agreement that the city approved in December of 2014 obligates the city to make available a liquor license as long as the applicant meets all the qualifications of the local liquor code and the state liquor code. We have a system in Lockport where there's a numerical limit on the number of licenses available for restaurants with entertainment, and we are at the maximum on that number. The ordinance before you this evening for consideration during the Committee of the Whole meeting is asking you to increase the number from 17 to 18. So the application that's been filed by the developer of the Volz building could be considered by the mayor for issuance of a liquor license. So it's basically just increasing the license number cap from 17 to 18. Again, the developer still needs to meet the qualifications of holding a liquor license. This is not guaranteeing, this is just following what we obligated ourselves to in the redevelopment agreement in December.
Any questions? All right, yeah.
I just have one, and that is, when you're expanding the number of liquor licenses in town, I don't know if there's a standard, like a per capita standard or something along those lines that exists for something like that, but, just so you make sure you're not spiraling out of control and liquor license, and then you become a booze town. Not that I'm against alcohol, I do enjoy it, but I just wanted, before our city council meeting, if there's any way we can see, what other municipalities are doing, and so we make sure we're on par with that.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes it's an issue that is unique to certain towns. Towns have a reputation of having more licenses than others. We have control of the numbers, and it certainly helps. I think you've seen some smaller facilities opening up with liquor licenses with the intent of being able to acquire a gaming license now, and that some towns are struggling with that issue. Because we have the numerical cap on our ordinance, it minimizes that exposure. So it's good on one hand. Certainly this license is for the redevelopment of the downtown, and I think that's what was intended by the Volz agreement in December. So this is certainly a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, the fact that we have to talk about each one, I think, is important. One of the reasons we tightened up our code earlier as a council was to make sure that there's food served and that there's a kitchen and these kinds of things, so it's not just a place that just serves liquor only. And so, yeah, okay. I'm good on the consent agenda. Is that something we can do on consent?
I'm not sure how you've done it in the past.
I think we've always voted on.
Well, we can vote on it
On
then.
the liquor ordinance, right.
All right.
So we'll put it on,
Because gaming does also go along with liquor license, so it's important to have a separate vote.
All right.
Okay.
And then as far as AT2, yeah, Tom, we can take we can take, why don't we just take 5 minutes recess? We won't just jump right in. Go out if there's people who want to talk to you and say something. That way we know if they need to come forward and get on the agenda or something like that.
Other items that you can.
Okay.
Really, if you want to wait just maybe 2 more minutes, Mayor, we could do it between the meetings because we have just a quick proclamation to do, and then.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just wanted the mayor's, opinion or the council in regards to, with the election, and if the next could swap city council for committee of the whole, so we could swear in the new elected officials and then do our committee of the whole business, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
I have no problem with that. You guys good with switching those
I don't-
around?
Fine sense.
I don't think we need a vote for that, but
Okay.
we'll publish it that way.
You need a 2-day notice?
Yes,
for the
Yeah, still need a
public?
2-day notice, yeah, so we'll
full 48.
do that. And then we can go to your proclamation really quick, and then we could adjourn.
Yeah, I have a proclamation here from the Give Something Back Foundation. It's to honor them. I'd like to read it now. It's whereas the Give Something Back Foundation started in 2003 awarding 7 students a scholarship and attend college. And whereas as of today, 139 high school students and 51 students currently in college have been given scholarships opportunity from the Give Something Back Foundation. And as of April 1st, 2015, 244 students are in the process of preparing for college, are in college, or have graduated. And whereas last year marked the first time that Give Something Back Foundation reached out to all of Will County to select students for the partner program at Lewis University, University of St. Francis, and Blackburn College. And whereas the year 2015 marked another first, as Give Something Back Foundation plans to significantly expand their reach to other communities with the help of like-minded supporters. And whereas Give Something Back Foundation will continue the commitment to prepare students for college and for life through activities while in high school and partnering with universities that are dedicated to serving high-achieving, high-character students who are fully program eligible. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and the Lockport City Council, Will County, Illinois, in open meeting assembled, that the entire community of Lockport is called upon to join together in celebrating the honorable program of the Give Something Back Foundation, a true asset to our community. And be it therefore further resolved that this proclamation be preserved and made part of the city records and history for future generations to reflect upon. And where be it further resolved that a fully signed, sealed, and certified copy of this proclamation be presented to the Give Something Back Foundation as remembrance of this occasion. Yeah, everyone up here is probably aware of Robert Carr and his Give Something Back Foundation. For those who here may not know Robert Carr, he grew up here in Lockport, kind of on the east side there. Didn't have a lot of means financially, but was a very smart kid. And when he, applied for college, he was given a smaller scholarship by the Lockport Women's Club, which he did not expect, and it always made a very big impact on him. And as he went on successful, he always remembered that scholarship. And I think it was something like $150. Yeah, $250. Very small, but it was very impactful to him. And he said he always wanted to do the same. And so, as we read in the proclamation, now he has gone to Lockport Township High School, and kids who were smart but didn't have the means for college, he was giving them full scholarships to colleges, and they went to many colleges throughout the country. Recently, to expand the program beyond Lockport Township so it was easier to manage, they've picked now 3 schools, Blackburn, Lewis, and St. Francis. So kids throughout Will County who show, scholastic talents, but, no means to pay for college, can be awarded full scholarships by Give Something Back Foundation. So it has been a real blessing to the city of Lockport. And although Bob doesn't live here anymore, he certainly has an eye on Lockport all the time. Helped develop the park, the Lincoln Landing Park, with his own funds. And anyways, I would just we can make a motion to make sure that we sign and honor this proclamation.
Make a motion. Second.
All right, Alderman Colarelli, seconded by Alderman Peretta. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Do we need to take a couple minutes just to let Tom finish up?
Yeah, I would think we could make a motion to adjourn and then take a 5-minute break and.
I just had one more comment under
Sure.
new business.
Yeah.
I don't know if Lisa was even here when we did it, but we kind of took a previous look at the city sticker program. And, the time wasn't right with, I think the police need kind of a long lead time to figure out if they need to do it and then for budgeting. But with kind of a new council coming in, a new finance person, I think since we did it last, can we get sort of a refresh on that? Maybe not even any more work, but just kind of bring it up for debate, either next meeting or the meeting following and kind of decide. I think with enough lead time to let everybody work through any issues, what we want to do with that.
I'm going to do you one better, Jason. I want you to be the chair of the finance committee.
There it is. Bring it up.
So you're going to sit with Lisa and work through that.
I think what the issue was is about a $500,000 revenue generator, and that would have created a hole in the budget, and so it was a matter of finding revenue to replace that.
I remember Eric did a good memo on,
Yeah, he
on a
did.
replace.
Pre-sold it as a replacement tax, that we weren't looking to increase revenues, that if we were to give up the revenues that we bring in with stickers, and I think it's about $350 or so a year. I don't know if it was 500, but yeah, I'm not even sure it's
It was like
less. Yeah, I think it was a little less.
220, I think.
We'll research the issue, and certainly we can have Jason work with Lisa, and Lisa will, there are some deadlines and some timelines that we have to make to publish and change so that we don't have to have the police department, water department deal with all that next year, and I think we still have time to have that debate, and I think we would take the same recommendation process at this point where we would say we would look to replace that revenue, not necessarily enhance it, that we would just want to make sure we bring in enough that we're not just turning our backs on $300,000 a year with not knowing where, the state may make cuts in our budget over the next year or two. I think it would be the prudent thing to do, and I know that city stickers are a pain for the residents, and there are actually some operational costs involved with the city to administer and enforce and delegate that. So I think it's a good idea, and we would certainly make that recommendation, but it's entirely a policy decision, but for the mayor and council to decide that. So we can research it, and maybe the first committee member will have a good report in May.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else, or can we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, Alderman Deskin, second by Alderman Smith, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, why don't we just give it 5 minutes so Tom can come back in, and then we'll start.
Yeah, this is my very terrible. This is 3:55.
Form of the home. Look at Jake wearing his, lockport. Hey, do you need an intern during the summer? Like,
All right, Madam. Roll call for us, please.
Yes. Alderman Coretta?
Here.
Vandermeer?
Here.
Could use a couple days here and
Eskin?
there,
Here. Smith?
Here.
Colorelli?
Here.
Capadona?
Here.
And Turner and Marinowski are absent.
Okay.
I need the gavel.
All right, everybody, we're starting up again. Sorry about the delay, but we are starting our meeting again. We just did a roll call. Everybody's here. Who's here? I'm going to have a motion for a consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Alderman Vandermeer, seconded by Alderman Peretta. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, on the consent today is the regular city council meeting minutes from April 1st, the committee of the whole meeting minutes from April 1st, payroll ending March 29th. We've got of bills, motion to approve the various bills as presented. And then there's resolution number 15028, which is the Main Street Clean Sweep events. Can I have a motion to approve consent agenda?
Second.
Wow, look at you guys. I think that was Colorelli and Deskin. No? Smith? Okay. Smith and Deskin. And they both did both, so you can go either way. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. As far as these public hearings, we'll do them right at the beginning of each one of our, just at the appropriate agenda item, so that way we can keep some continuity between it. So in the meantime, Alice, you want to talk about your motion?
Yes, I have a motion to approve I'm sorry, I'm skipping over that. The March 18th Committee of the Whole meeting minutes as presented, which moved from our last city council meeting, as a request by Alderwoman Marinowski. So if I can have a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
So we got a motion and a second?
Yes,
Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
thank you. And then the second item that I have is the monthly May meeting calendar. If I could have a motion to approve that.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Ben, do you have these public announcements?
if you'd
Yeah.
like. Yes, you're talking about the Sagebrook residential subdivision, correct? Okay. There's a Illinois statute that requires a public hearing to be held anytime that there's a new annexation agreement being proposed before a municipality or an amendment of an existing annexation agreement. The Sage proposal falls into the latter. It's amending an annexation agreement that was previously approved by the city of Lockport. There's a public hearing process, even though we've already had multiple meetings on this before the Planning and Zoning Commission, before the City Council. The statute requires a specific public hearing to be held that's published in the newspaper. That is held this evening before you vote. So it'd be appropriate to open the public hearing, invite any members of the public that would like to be heard on it, and then close the meeting and then allow the council to deliberate on the proposal.
Okay, that sounds good. So right now, I'll officially open up the public hearing for the Sagebrook amendment. I know, Jim, you have a card up here to speak. If you want to come up and speak to it, if anybody else wants to come up.
Good evening, everyone. Let me first say, I look forward to working with everyone in 2-3 weeks. But in the meantime, I get to poke and prod you here tonight and hopefully push you into getting some more things done here. I just want to clarify one major issue for us as the community. Taking where this proposal is standing right now, and we're actually going by annexation agreement in terms of level of materials and sizes, and going below code in terms of amount of masonry and everything like that. The way everything stands right now, the potential of every home other than the model homes that he's building, because that's an annexation agreement, every home in those can be siding homes. Everyone says it may not happen, it's probably not going to happen, the majority is, but as it's structured right now, those can be all siding homes. So that's the big concern in terms of, the other stuff, we leave it in your hands in terms of sidewalks, lot lines, all that other things, some of the comments there. But when you have the potential of this happening, all we ask is there's some limitations to that. I know you're bargaining in terms of tap-on fees and so forth. So if there's a way to limit where we don't have all siding homes, there's a certain percentage of those A elevations. And even with the anti-monotony clause, all that says is each one of those houses had to be separated by one other house. So it doesn't mean that they can't all be siding. So it can be 2 models down an entire street, but all siding. So that is one of the major concerns. I just want to bring that one up today. I'll leave the rest up to you guys, and hopefully you can do something to limit those amount. So that just doesn't happen there. Some number, some percentage, something. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jim. Anybody else from the public speaking today? Okay, staff, do you guys have anything to say?
Mayor and members of the council, we have submitted, a memo and application to you in regards to what our recommendation was after having the discussions at committee of the whole. Hearing Jim's comments, I mean, we understand that opinion, and we, our opinion is a little bit different, that we don't feel that will mathematically happen, that we feel the siding is a superior product, and we were looking for approval as where we left it last time. But again, this is entirely up to councils and their discretion and what they want to accept in regards to these applications for my homes. We also have, I guess at this point, this is the hearing, so we'll eventually get into the actual motion for a resolution and the permitting for it.
Okay. Anything else then we need for a public hearing, Tom?
That would be it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Well, then I'll call this public meeting to a close, and then we'll move on to our agenda item. Dan, you want to talk about it?
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. So before you tonight, we have CA1, the amended and restated annexation agreement of Sagebrook Residential Subdivision by MI Homes. It's number 15034. We are seeking a motion to pass the resolution 15034, authorizing the execution of the amended and restated annexation agreement before you for Sagebrook Residential Development, also known as Karen Springs 5, and an additional 25 acres.
Okay. Can I have a motion to pass?
So.
Alderman Deskin,
Second.
Alderman Vandermeer. Any discussion?
Yeah, I would, I'd like to address just some of the concerns that the residents have had. I had a conversation with Mr. Tracus last Friday, and I promised him that I would go ahead and contact our city attorney about a couple of the issues regarding the annexation agreement. A couple of weeks ago, Mr. Thanis says that the law allows municipalities and people within in a contract to go ahead and amend a annexation agreement. So I asked Mr. Thanis to address that, and I then so this could go ahead and address that now, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the state statute that controls annexation agreements allows agreements to last for 20 years, but it also allows the agreements to be amended during that 20-year term. That's the reason for the public hearing, so people believe a project has been approved previously with certain parameters, that they are at least given an opportunity to be heard if there are any changes that are going to be made during that 20-year period. Annexation agreements are like any other contract. If the parties to the contract would like to change it by mutual consent, they're able to do that. You are certainly not obligated to the original annexation agreement that was approved by previous city council. I think with the recession of 2008, you as a city council and many other city councils in the Chicago throughout the United States have been going through this amendment process to make changes that reflect market changes over the last 7 or 8 years. So what's before you tonight is an amended and reviewed agreement that will take the place of the agreement that was originally approved by the previous mayor and city council, and that this will control the development for MI Homes, along with the plat that's before you for the special use permit that you'll be asked to vote on this evening. The project will have to be developed pursuant to whatever you end up approving if you do approve the proposed changes.
All right, anybody else?
Yeah, which then, that response then prompted another question that I had, and Mr. Petrakis brought that up again this evening, in regards to our city code. And I would ask Mr. Thanis if he could go ahead and comment on what is in our city code and versus what happened at the Planning Commission when they approved a PUD, Planned Urban Development, and what the requirements are of that, and then our responsibility as a result of the PUD that was then passed by the Planning Commission.
Yes, the PUD that would be before you would control the development, and the PUD under Illinois law allows you to make changes to what the development code may require. If someone was coming in for a single lot and had plans to build just a single-family home on that lot, more than likely the development code, whatever it provides, would control that development. But here, when a large-scale development is coming before the city council, frequently developers will ask for a PUD. You can possibly vary lot sizes, possibly vary design guidelines, things like that, so there can be changes made to the development code that would allow some adjustments to be made, and that's what's before you with the MI Home proposal this evening, asking you to approve changes that will be authorized by the amended annexation agreement, and then the special use and unit development that would go along with this. If you do it this evening, then that would control the future development of this entire project.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Have a roll call then?
Beretta?
Yes.
Vandermeer?
Yes.
Deskin?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Colorelli?
Yes.
Capadona?
Yes.
Yes, motion carried.
All right. Pam?
Yes,
got?
now, the item that needs to be considered since the council has taken action on the annexation agreement are several. One would be a special use permit for a planned residential development, a rezoning for a portion of the property from R2 to R1, rezoning of some existing O2 general office and C2 commercial to R1 single family, preliminary subdivision plat, preliminary site plan, preliminary landscape plan, and then the residential products which are attached. Want to remind the council that upon approval of the preliminary development plans, the applicant will then prepare and submit his final development plans, which will be reviewed by staff, commission, and ultimately action will be taken by the council. Also, just to remind everyone of some issues, the park portion was resolved, the pond design was resolved, neighborhood connectivity and lot line alignment that will be taken a look at the time of final. And then the building materials, the decision has been made now through your adoption of the annexation agreement. With that being said, staff is requesting a motion, the council to approve ordinance number 15-006, an ordinance granting a special use permit for a planned residential development, zoning portions of property to R1 single family and R2 single family, and preliminary development plans / preliminary subdivision plat, subject to the conditions that are outlined in the attached ordinance.
All right. Motion to approve.
So moved.
It's Alderman Capadona, seconded by Alderman Smith. Can I have a roll call, please?
Corretto?
Yes.
Vandermeer?
Yes.
Deskin?
Yes.
Turner? Sorry, he's absent. Colorelli?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
And Capadona.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion carried.
Oh, we didn't do
Thank
Karen?
you.
I thought that was in the, yeah, we did it in consent, didn't we?
Okay, never mind.
All right, no problem. All right.
We would need to open the hearing on the next item as well,
Yeah.
in regards to.
Tell me, you want to do your magic over there, your words? Okay.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, same issue here. There's a proposal for an amendment to an existing annexation agreement. As I mentioned before, the state statute requires a public hearing to be held before before the City Council is allowed to vote on the proposed amendment. This would be an appropriate time for any member of the public to come forward and express their opinion on the proposed annexation agreement, amendment of the annexation agreement for the 355 Corporate Center developed by the Panattoni Development Company.
All right, I'll open that hearing now. Does anybody in the public want to speak to that? Anybody up here, staff or council have for it?
No, Mayor, we talked about this at committee of the whole at length, and we're comfortable with where things are at on this agreement.
All right, then I can, I'll call it to a close, this public hearing. All right, so, anyone to call this to?
Thank you, yeah. So the next item now, hearing closed, would be CA3, amendment and restated annexation agreement for the 355 Corporate Center, Panattoni Development Company, Resolution 15035. We're seeking a motion to pass the resolution stating the annexation agreement for the Steeplechase Business Campus to Panattoni.
All right, a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Was that Pete? All right, seconded by Alderman Vandermeer. Have a roll call, please.
Corretto?
Yes.
Vandermeer?
Yes.
Deskin?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Colorelli?
Yes.
Capadona.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, Pam, what do you got?
Yes, again, similar to the last project, now that the annexation agreement has been approved, the item is now here to address the special use permit to amend the planned industrial development, preliminary and final site plan approval of the 50-acre corporate park, final plat of subdivision for Lot 1 and 2, final building elevations for Lot 1 and 2, and final landscape plan. A reminder that at a later date, Panattoni will submit their final development plans for Lot 3, which will then again be reviewed by staff, the Plan and Zoning Commission, with ultimate decision by the council. With that being said, staff is seeking the council a motion to approve ordinance number 15-007, an ordinance amending ordinance number 11-040 to amend the use permit for a planned industrial development, preliminary final development plans, and final subdivision, subject to certain conditions as outlined in the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Deskin. Have a roll call, please.
Capadona?
Yes.
Colorelli?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Deskin?
Yes.
Vandermeer?
Yes.
Corretto.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion carried.
All right, who's taking this one?
We're at CA5 Okay, I think Tom and I tag team this a little bit. This is a resolution accepting a dedication of right-of-way. This is a grant of easement for the 4th Street roadway up to, eventually a loop up to the 3rd Street water main. This is a project resolution 15033. If you recall, we've talked about this in the past in regards to the Corwin Shopping Plaza behind there to increase fire flow. We'll be seeking a motion to pass this resolution this evening. Tom, you can hit a couple highlights, and I'll pull up an aerial for you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there are actually two parts to this. One is the construction cul-de-sac at the east end of 4th Street. That will prohibit cut-through traffic through the shopping center. That's been a problem for quite some time for the city and for the owner of the shopping center. But before you shows the cul-de-sac, the east end. That's currently on property that is owned by the Lockport Plaza Shopping Center owner. He is agreeing to dedicate that right-of-way without compensation. So that would become part of our road, and it'll be constructed as part of this project. The second part of the project is the extension of the water main, or the reconstruction of the water main that is currently in 4th Street, and that'll be extended behind the shopping center. That's a little difficult to see, but there's some red lines at the top of the page that shows the location of the building, the location of the proposed water main. Mr. Hanson, the principal of the limited liability company that owns the shopping, has agreed to grant the easement without compensation. The issue that we have some sidebar discussion on is a commitment that he had made last year to connect the sprinkler system that's currently in the billiards facility in his shopping center within 90 days of the completion of this line. I think at the time it was anticipated that the entire shopping center would be done all at once. Because he's not found a tenant for the Corwin pharmacy part of this, he's asking if we could defer the connection of the installation of the sprinkler system 90 days the Corwin facility is filled. Ben and I have been working with the owner on possible tenants. We're trying to find a good tenant and hopefully get that space filled fairly soon, but that would be the only change that would be made from the commitment that was made last year. But what's before you is accepting the grant of easement for the water main easement and accepting the dedication of right-of-way. Staff is recommending approval of both.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Alderman Deskin. Anybody second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Capadona. Some discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Tanis, do you feel like changing the date of when the fire sprinkler opens up, does that open us up to any liability?
It doesn't open us up to any legal liability. Certainly there's some risk right now that exists. The space that's occupied by the billiard facility is a smaller section than what the Corwin facility is, and I understand the economics of it. There's a problem with the legal there where there's I'm not sure how much he may have gotten into this before, but he's not collecting rent from one of the existing tenants because the Corwin space is currently vacant, and it's created an economic hardship. There's no legal liability on our part, but obviously, something could go wrong, and we could regret the decision of extending the time. But I think it's a reasonable business request, and I think it would make sense to have the entire shopping center connected all at once. The economics would be better. Plus, he'd have a tenant on a 5-year or 10-year lease that would help him with some cash flow issues. So that's why our recommendation is to accept the grants of easement without giving him any compensation, but giving him a little extra time as far as the connection.
I mean, the way I understood this was it was just supposed to be a connection from the water main to the building so that he can get the billiards hall charged with water main pressure instead of potable water, and that they would do the sprinklers at Corwin's later. We're not asking him to sprinkle the Corwin's Plaza just yet, just to connect to the water main. Is that right?
Yes, I think
Correct.
he'll connect to the water main, but I think he's asking to hold off on this installation of the sprinkler system so he can do the entire shopping center at once.
All right, I guess I'm still confused.
Let me,
So,
can I clarify a little bit for you, Mayor? And I agree with you, that was part of our understanding earlier on, but as we learn more about sprinkler systems, it takes a certain type of pump equipment that gets installed in the building that flushes pressure, enough pressure to sprinkler the entire building. And instead of asking him to put in a smaller one just for the builder, he wants to put in one system that would be able to handle the entire building. And we will have, in this agreement, we will have the water put into, the connection will be into the building. It just won't be hooked up to the equipment because that entails another expensive piece of equipment that he's looking for a little more time to add on to, if that makes sense. It's not just that it's connected. I had the same assumption that if we have the connection to the building, which we will have when this is completed, that there's enough pressure for this, but it takes additional equipment. It's called a pump room, and they want to install it in one location, basically in the biggest location, which would be the core or the empty vacant space at the Corwins Plaza right now. So that one pump installation will be able to charge the entire building there. So it seemed to make some economic sense. Could we hold their feet to the fire from the past agreement? Yes, but we thought it was a reasonable request and a fiscal one that made sense.
I agree with the deferring the installation. However, I wonder if it's best that we put maybe a little bit of a timeline on that and then maybe go back and relook at it again. I mean, is it in our best interest, say, 6 months, a year, and then if it's not done, look again? Does that kind of like open us up to say, we're here to talk about it again versus not having that option of?
I think not leaving it open-ended makes sense, so we could probably work with a 6-month or 1-year limit on it.
okay. I mean, I'm open to a 6-month limit. I don't want this to go on indefinitely.
That's
Yeah,
what I kind of thought,
yeah.
but I understand the concern for.
So I'm still not, I get the economics, right? I understand that he's not getting the return he wants. There's a couple issues he's got there. And frankly, I don't blame him for not wanting to put in a pump room to pump just the diamonds when eventually it'll be for the whole plaza. But back to the liability, just to be more specific with my question. We hooked up, and, normally diamonds would have had fire suppression within 90 days. Say, for example, 180 days after the hookup occurred, something drastic happens at diamonds. Somebody gets hurt, whatever happens. No liability to the city that, we had an agreement that would have had fire suppression in there that, could save lives, all the things that fire suppression are there for, that we then waived because of economic hardship, which I agree with, for the property owner, and, someone could get hurt there. There's no liability on our part.
There are immunities that are granted by Illinois law to municipalities on discretionary decisions like this that protect you. Otherwise, you become an insurer for decisions like that. Frequently, there are adjustments made on building schedules and things like that, and to expose cities to liability for that would give cities a lot of exposure. So that's why the immunities are in place to protect cities from that. Certainly, there's a PR issue that would have to be dealt with. We understand that, and Ben and I have gone through that with the shopping center owner. He and his insurance company have the exposure. Sure. But we would certainly have a PR issue to deal with, and we understand that. But we understand the business side of this also, and that's why we are recommending being able to get these two, the grant of easement and the dedication of right-of-way without compensation, and then extending the period for the connection. And again, I think the 6-month extension makes sense.
This building is also fully alarmed, so there isn't like there's zero protections in place, but sprinkler is obviously better.
Yeah, does the Billiards have a kitchen?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to keep it closer to the 6-month rather than the 12-month. Just because, with it having a kitchen there, you don't know, a small grease fire could turn into something larger.
I mean, the billiards hall is sprinkled.
Mm-hmm.
It's hooked up to the potable water system, is that it?
It's hooked up to domestic. It just doesn't create enough pressure to work effectively.
Okay. Do you know what the cost is for this pump system?
I don't. I know it's significant, but I couldn't guesstimate at this point.
Yeah, I'm like a 6-month to 0 kind of feeling right now on this? You know,
Current agreement was 90 days from connection, you know, so if we extended this, it's 3 months. So if we went from 3 months to 6 months, I think it's a
all right,
reasonable
basically,
request.
you're giving me an extra 3 months.
Is the rest of this agreement with the, you know, the land that's used to run the water, all that, all contingent upon this, right? If we change it to say 6 months, he could turn around and say no, theoretically. No, it's in his benefit, right? I'm not saying.
Yeah, I mean, we are spending, he,
Both eliminating cut-through traffic
And the water.
and a new water source that will help him attract a better tenant, we hope, for the other space.
Quite frankly, we're taking on some expense that does benefit him here, so.
correct. It increases fire flow not only for that building, but also the neighborhoods and up on the Third Street and Fourth Street. So, I mean, it's a significant loop that does increase fire flow protection and our hydrants in the neighborhoods as well. It's not just for Corwin Center, so that's why we thought it would be okay to do it. You know, if we want to put the timetable on it, I mean, I think that would be fine. I mean, I think his point was he was looking to make all those investments when he had his tenant, but I certainly understand what if you don't get a tenant in 6 months, 9 months, or a year? We probably should have some type of termination date on it that he needs to go ahead and fulfill whatever obligation it's going to be. So I'm fine with 6 months. I'm with the petitioner not being here. We can certainly take that back.
All right, what are your thoughts? I'm kind of partial to this, keeping it at the 90 days, you know, I guess I'm open to extending it another 90 days. But I don't want to just hear this crying forever. I mean, this building hasn't had sprinklers since its inception of being rehabbed because of crying poor. And we've insisted on some of the sprinkler systems now, which is why we're even where we are. But, you know, I certainly don't want to see this pushed off.
In perpetuity,
Well,
yeah.
If your thought was originally 90 days and we did 6 months, I think that would be on our part as a council, showing good faith that we gave you a little bit more time than maybe what we kind of anticipated as a group. If that's your thought. I don't know what's in your mouth, but.
No, that's fine. I mean, I get, okay. All right, I'm okay. If you guys are thinking we do an extra 30 or 90 days on
If
top
staff's
of the.
okay with that, I mean.
Yeah, we expect the water main to be completed this summer, and so that 6 months would have this completed before the end of the fiscal year.
All right.
Yeah,
be
I
fine.
wouldn't like to go any more than an additional 90 days. I'm like the mayor.
Okay.
I think the 90 was good, but if we are going to agree on anything more, I think no more than 90.
Okay.
I have a question for Amy. I was just wondering,
No more than an additional 90.
I have no problem with the cul-de-sac, but till last Friday, I wasn't aware that a cul-de-sac was going to be, was that at the city's request, or was that at the,
I think that was our
owner's
idea.
request? Okay.
You know, and I have one more question, and I apologize, Amy, for not getting back to you earlier on this question. So, you know, looking at this tonight, is there a chance that we're gonna have some runoff from this, being it looks like a lot of curbing involved? Do we have maybe some storm sewer that we need to? Okay, thank you. Sorry.
All right, crew, you guys want to do this with 6 months then?
6 months.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Amy, you want to speak to this, or is this Ben again for the sidewalks?
Yeah, this would be Amy, I guess. We're talking about
Yeah, the
CA
ITEP.
6 on the ITEP sidewalk. Is she? Okay. Yeah, come on, up. Thanks.
Back earlier last year, we passed a MFT resolution for the ITEP sidewalk project, allocating $250,000 in MFT funds to cover the city's local share of this project. At that time, the estimate of cost for that project was $784,000. At the beginning of the year, the final plans and specifications were sent to IDOT for approval to be put on the April letting. The cost increased to a little over $800,000, $851,000. Because of this, the city's local share went up, and now IDOT is requiring that we amend our MFT resolution appropriating more money. One of the reasons why the cost estimate went up $100,000 or close to $100,000 is because the Thornton Street project that's currently under construction, there's some large retaining walls that are going in on that project to make room along the side of the road for the sidewalk, and there were some handrails that were supposed to be put up as part. They're still going in, they're just not in yet. And because we're not in when the final plans were submitted, IDOT required us to put those handrails in the contract just in case they did not get built as part of the Thornton Street project. So the additional cost between the $784,000 and the $850 is probably not going to happen because the handrails will be put in, and unless the bid prices come in way over what the estimate was, we will not use that additional money that we're allocating. The original budgeted amount of MFT funds that we budgeted for this project was $348,000, so the additional money that we're requesting to be amended to the MFT is still under the budgeted amount. We are just asking to increase that by another resolution for $45,611 to make it, I think it's $300,000 total. So.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Alderman Vandermeer, seconded by Alderman Capadona. Discussion, questions?
Mayor, I just wanted to point out, I asked Lisa about this. We have a current fund balance of MFT at 1.9 million. We are planning about 600,000 in 2015 and 2016 combined, so we have plenty of funding available.
Okay. All right. Anybody? All right. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Retta?
Yes.
Vandermeer?
Yes.
Deskin?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Colorelli?
Yes.
Capadona?
Yes.
6 yeas, motion carried.
All right. Tom, you looking for executive session?
If you'd like to hold it to the end of the meeting, Mr. Mayor, that'd be fine with me.
Yep, we'll do it then. What else we got?
The next item would have been the Heritage Crossing Corporate Center ML, but I think we've got some feedback from some of the residents, the aldermen, that we'd like to go ahead and kick that back out to the next meeting in May, which would be May 6th.
Okay. We good with that? Will do.
Jason, do you want to ask any of those questions, or you just want to talk to Tom separately? Or?
Yeah, we could chat after. I don't need
Okay.
to waste everybody's time.
I think we still have some of the residents present, and I wasn't getting tabled to the May 6th meeting or the May 20th, but the ones who are still here, it sounds like it's getting tabled to May 6th. So they have my card, and I'll be in contact with all 7 of them in the interim.
Okay, sounds good.
We actually have to
Keep in touch.
Yeah, you can ask
All right.
Is it motion to,
Yeah, we'll motion to table it till May 6th.
I'll make that motion.
Deskin, Vandermeer, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Pam, what do you got?
Yes, the last item is, staff is presenting the official zoning map. The map pending approval reflects zoning changes since March 31st of 2013. Attached in your packet was an Exhibit B that listed the revisions and additions that have made since then. With that being said, staff is asking the council resolution number 15029, which authorizes the filing of the updated City of Lockport zoning map dated March 31st, 2015, as presented.
Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Alderman Smith,
Second.
Alderman Vandermeer, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Page 5. That's everything, right?
I think we're looking good, Mayor. We'll have to motion to go into executive session.
Yep. What do you got?
I just got a quick comment. This is just in regards to, when you pick up our city agenda today, it just, testimony of what our city staff goes through to make things happen around here, and I appreciate all their hard work that they put into all these projects that we have before us, so.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Appreciate that.
Didn't feel like I was on my game tonight, but we'll do better next week.
Very good. So can we just need a motion to adjourn? So we can go in, yeah, recess, so we can go into executive session. So we'll give it a few minutes for Alice to set up, and then we'll go into exec session.
Motion to recess.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.